I know what you might be thinking. It's another 90% keyboard with no screen and no knob. Well, this is the NB981 from LTC with a solid plastic build that's not lightweight and is great for heavy use. However, I do not advise you to tear this down, and I will explain further later on. Here's a $60 keyboard powered by 2 packs of 2000 mAh batteries, standard for keyboards at this price range. It's top mounted, which adds a bit more rigidity to the typing experience, but with no bounce at all. While included switches don't offer that sought-after zynthox sound, you can easily swap them out thanks to the north-facing universal hot swap PCB, so customization is always an option here. LTC offers a 60-day refund policy and an 18-month warranty coverage. With that said, I do not recommend you tear this down. To be clear, I do not recommend you tear down any keyboard so as to not void the warranty. Now, tearing this down is honestly not easy. I created a separate video guide on how it's done because it took longer than I thought. The link will be in the description, of course. Now, out of the box, this keyboard includes the essentials: a manual, cable, keycap switch puller, and 4 extra contact blue linear switches for replacements or testing. The included cable is a C to C with a USB-A adapter for added flexibility. The keyboard itself is pretty heavy thanks to its steel positioning plate, giving it a solid and sturdy feel. Also, this has very heavy silicone dampers inside. We'll talk more about that later on. The plastic here is also quite thick, reinforcing its durability. Power switch is conveniently located at the right side of the keyboard, while the USB-C port is positioned underneath, along with cable canals for easy cable management. Underneath, you also find rubber pads and 2-level kick-up feet, ensuring a stable grip on your desk. So upon opening the software, you get this, and also you get some popular profiles right here, which I'm not sure if you're going to apply that, but anyways, looking at the key binding feature here, there's nothing special and also nothing to complain about. Upon checking, there's only one function layer here, as in case you're wondering. So lighting here is pretty much straightforward and self-explanatory. Onto macros, let's try recording one real quick. So it records clicks and also the middle mouse button here as well. So all good. Now this keyboard comes in 2 color options, both leaning toward a more feminine aesthetic with a tricolor theme. The branding is placed in the lower left corner of the top case. Talking about housing, it's made from standard ABS plastic with a slight rough texture with just a bit of gloss. In terms of functionality, backlight controls are mapped to the arrow keys with brightness adjustments on the F5 and F6. Additionally, you can quickly check battery levels by pressing function key and backspace. Now, this is useful for staying on top of power in wireless mode. Keycap profile is OEM with double-shot PBT keycaps. Stabilizers are pre-lubed and I hear very minimal to no rattling at all in the stabilized keys. Stabs here are also very tightly placed on the plate, so good job LTC. Switches on the unit I have are content blue linear switches. Blue switches. So I went over this in my review for the NB832 and the NB841 Pro, yet I will have to go through it again. So they aren't factory lubed and have very slight scratches to them but aren't bothering to me. I believe the plastic used on the switch housing is PC, and if I were to guess the stem material, they're probably LY plastic. Oh, and in case you're wondering, these are 3-pin switches. Now, let's go over the internals. Going over internals here real quick, looking at the PCB, that doesn't seem like it is a flex cut PCB. And I also looked into the stabilizer positions here, and it doesn't seem like it has screw-in stab ports or clip-in stab ports, so those aren't compatible on this unit. The plate here is a black aluminum plate. Now, this is not a gasket-mounted keyboard, so those specs aren't necessary. Moving on to the dampers here, at the bottom, you have a custom cut silicone damper. Very good. So it has cuts for the batteries right there, and also has a cut around here for the daughter board. There are also custom cuts for the LEDs of the PCB and the hot swap socket right there. Very good implementation. No wonder why it's a very heavy keyboard. Alright, so taking a peek in between the PCB and the plate here, there you go. Now that is made of silicone as well. So this is a silicone sandwich damper in between the aluminum plate and the PCB. If you look closely into the hot swap socket here, that silicone damper has an integrated switch pad right there that's also made of silicone. I've only seen this kind of build from LTC's keyboards. If I remember correctly, only LTC keyboards have this type of integrated switch pad into their silicone sandwich dampers.